Top cat who's intellectual. Oh, man, yeah.
Well, the active weather pattern continues over parts of the U.S. over the next few days, and that includes a new blizzard for eastern Montana, northeast Wyoming, and the western part of the Dakotas. Severe weather in the plains, and here in the east, we're actually in pretty good shape for the next several days and through the weekend, just having to deal with temperature fluctuations. And that's about it. All that and much more tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. I am still alive, still lurking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, with what I'm dealing with, I get fatigued, and that's kind of what happened yesterday. And all I wanted to do was I actually took 3 naps yesterday, Joe, and then I finally went to bed at
Wow.
7. Yeah, I just could not stay awake. But much better today. I'm drinking my chamomile tea in my Trust Me, I'm a Meteorologist mug that the chairman sent me. Thank you. And all is good. So sorry to throw everybody's schedule off.
Well, I mean, I said when you contacted me yesterday that you were fatigued, or is it fatigue? I think it was fatigue.
Fatigued.
I said, there's not much going on. You're absolutely right. The only headline, at least for the tri-state area, that I would use is the fact that this spell of unseasonably cold or chilly weather ain't going away anytime soon. It looks like it's going to remain rather chilly out there right on into the start of the new month of May, which is just around the corner.
Yeah.
So there you go. But it looks like at least it'll be dry, save maybe for Tuesday of next week. Tuesday looks like the wet day for next week. But other than that, ho hum.
I think it's pretty fair to say, it was what we've been saying from earlier this week, that a warmish day here and there, maybe a day maybe you put together 1 or 2 days back to back, and that really is all going to depend on what wind what wind are you getting relative to your location. Is it going to be east? Is it going to be south? Is it going to be southwest? Is it going to be all of the above? But outside of the odd day or two, if you sustained warmth is just not in the cards in this pattern that we're in.
Um, it's well, a little bit later I'll show the CPC, the Climate Prediction Center map, and on their 6 to 10 day outlook, it would appear that about 75% of the country on the 6 to 10 day outlook is going to be below normal, and we right here in the tri-state area are right at the epicenter, or the bullseye, so to speak, of the coldest temperature departures for that time frame. The only place really, Joe, that shows any sign of above normal, and I might add, not just barely above normal, they are going to be well above normal, will be unfortunately the places that right now are suffering with lots of wildfire activity. Arizona, New Mexico, they have a terrible wildfire going on right now in the vicinity of Flagstaff, Arizona, the tunnel fires, it's being called. And it does not look like either the heat nor the dry weather is going to abate out there in the Southwest in the coming days ahead. But meanwhile, everybody else is going to be cool,
Yep.
man, cool.
All right, so you know what? Let's do. I'll bring up the upper air. I thought maybe we'd do this first. And of course, our maps, our upper air maps, and the surface maps, and everything else that we do map-wise as far as the models are concerned, all courtesy of tropicaltidbits.com, the great site of Levi Cowan. And we thank him for allowing us to use this on a nightly basis. So, one of the things that stands out to me is the fact that you've got a higher than normal pressures up in the North Atlantic, and that always spells trouble in some form or another, depending on how everything else is aligned in the atmosphere. And as we move into next week, you're right about Tuesday. We've got what looks like a cold front and a trough in the eastern part of the United States over the weekend. But the problem is, as the upper levels are concerned, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the lower levels will be warm. Again, it's all going to depend on location. For example, here in the southeast, where I am at the moment, heading for 80 tomorrow and 80 on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that. We got into the 70s today, which was really nice. But going through into next week, you'll just notice I kind of closed off that purple area in the North Atlantic, and for the most part, that blockiness not only stays, Joe, but take a look. This upper low on Tuesday drops down off the New England coast and just kind of sits at around 40 and 65. Now, it's going to be awful hard to warm it up when you've got an upper low in that position, and running through the rest of next week and beyond. I mean, all I'm seeing here is a continuation of those higher than normal pressures for the next 2 weeks up in the North Atlantic, and that means trough after trough just keeps dropping into the eastern part of the United States.
And that setup that you just spoke of after Tuesday, the winds are going to be rather brisk as well out of the northwest. It looks like Wednesday and Thursday, next Wednesday and Thursday, we could have rather gusty winds, temperatures that by day will only be in the 50s. Now, keep in mind, as we progress through the balance of April, we should be seeing high temperatures now in the afternoon, the mid and even upper 60s. And we're going to be talking about temperatures, mid and late next week, only in the mid and maybe even the low 50s up here in the Northeast. And temperatures at night, Joe, dropping down into the 30s. Now, last night we had frost advisories. I guess the growing season has now officially begun over northern Westchester and for Putnam County. Frost advisories last night. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another round of that kind of condition for mid and late next week, because, again, temperatures are going to be abnormally chilly for the middle and latter part of next week. We transition into the month of May a week from this Sunday. And it looks like it's still going to be rather chilly. It's just amazing to me that we're seeing this so late in the season now. And as you just mentioned, out west, they're battening down for another unusually late season blizzard in parts of Montana. So
Yep.
the whole country, save for the desert Southwest, which really could use a bit of cooler and wetter conditions, everybody else is indeed cool.
Yep. Deep trough in the west. I have that up on the screen right now. You can see there's an upper low that I've drawn in off the coast of Oregon, and that is swinging eastward and recuts off in Wyoming on Friday night and lifts up into South and North Dakota during the day on Saturday into Saturday night. So on the west side of that upper low track, there's going to be a snowstorm, and they're going to see blizzard conditions in areas in northeastern Wyoming, eastern Montana, and the western parts of North and South Dakota. This time, it's going to be more in the western part of North Dakota than it was, and also this time it will be into parts of South Dakota as opposed to what happened last week. There's another trough that dives into the west late next week. That translates eastward into Montana and the Dakotas, but it goes a little bit further north this time around. So, but I just kind of want to watch that because it may be starting off showing that upper low, taking a more northerly track, and in reality, it could wind up diving down to the south. The the bottom line is this upper air is not going to be conducive, as we said before, for any kind of sustained warm up here in the eastern part of the United States. Meanwhile, looking at the watches and warnings tonight in orange, these are all blizzard warnings that are up in eastern Montana and western North and South Dakota and down into northeastern Wyoming. And other areas around it, under either winter weather advisories, or we have some winter storm warnings scattered out further west into parts of Montana and into Idaho and Utah, seeing some winter weather advisories there. The red flag warnings covering much of Arizona. We also have high wind warnings in across New Mexico, northwest Texas, back over into the plains in western Kansas and into Nebraska. A lot of these areas up here too in the Central Plains are experiencing a very long-term drought situation. Uh, I saw something. I saw a news report about the farmers in in Nebraska in terms of the drought and the impact it's having on the wheat crop. Meanwhile, quiet and calm here in the east. Here's what it looks like for snow accumulations from the Weather Service digital forecast. You can see this swath of 12 to as much as 18 inches being forecast on some of the forecasts that I looked at in tonight for the areas in the western Dakotas and in eastern Montana and northeastern Wyoming. So this is going to be another, as we said, another snowstorm for them, and the pattern remains for us while all of this is going on. We're not going to see much rain, and that's actually, I think, a plus, Joe, because we have between the rain and the snow that fell earlier this week, the ground's still pretty saturated, so we could, certainly could use some drying here.
Yeah, I was telling Renata um, that I'd really like to get out now with the tractor mower. I've already done that once, but I really hesitate to do this over the next few days simply because in walking around the property, especially behind my house, the ground is so soft because it has, drank up so much moisture from, again, all of the rain. We didn't get the snow, but I mean, it really is. If I took the tractor out, and it's of course a very heavy machine, I might very well put some, with the tires, for example. In some cases, I might even get stuck. I might not be able to get out in some locations. I'm not using that as an excuse not to do it. I really do want to do it, but again, so much moisture out there, Joe. And I said, it'd be nice if we could string together at least 3 or 4 consecutive dry days. I think we'll be able to do that tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday look like dry conditions. And then we'll go back to the same old story, the wet stuff with that next approaching weather front on Tuesday. And then behind the weather front, guess what? It's going to turn cold again here for the middle and latter part of next week.
Yep. Barry Goldberg hitting super chat tonight. Thank you, Barry, and it's good to hear that your wife is making a good, steady progress, excellent progress. He says. So we're very glad to hear that. Again, thank you for your generosity for hitting super chat tonight, and welcome to everybody that's watching tonight. I know when the storms kind of peter out a bit, the uh, number of you dwindle down, but you know what? It's a nice tight little group. So do share your thoughts on the chat board. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel with your Gmail account so you get notifications every time the Joe and Joe Weather Show is on, which is usually from Sunday through Thursday, Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and Monday through Thursday usually at 7:30 Eastern Time. So let's see what the kids at the Storm Prediction Center are saying tonight, with a few small areas of slight risk in parts of the Central Plains. We've got some scattered thunderstorms there, but I don't see any watches up after so far. There are potential severe thunderstorm watches being indicated by the Storm Prediction Center, and for parts of Kansas and Missouri. Let's see what they have here. So let's pull up the mesoscale here. So they're highlighting an area in southwestern Missouri, a 40% chance of seeing a watch go up there. And the other one is, this was the more recent one issued, increasing concern for supercells in parts of southwestern South Dakota. It's pretty interesting. I'm looking at the dew point, Joe. The dew points are shooting up into the middle and upper 60s from Oklahoma up into Kansas. I'm sorry, this is in Kansas. I don't know if I said South Dakota. My mistake. It's the T. So the chance for some increasing chance for some supercells, and here they rate a 60% chance that we could see a severe thunderstorm watch being issued. So this may all transpire before our show is done. Now, tomorrow looks like it might be a busy day with that storm getting underway for the northern Rockies and the northwestern plains. So ahead of that and the developing low, we have enhanced risk of severe weather from northwest Texas up northward through western Kansas and Nebraska. A big area of slight risk pushes up all the way into southernmost North Dakota, and a rather, excuse me, large area of marginal risk that encases all of that. And on the next forecast period, which is Saturday into Sunday, it looks like the upper Mississippi, the middle and upper Mississippi Valley, and excuse me, parts of East Kansas into Oklahoma, a large area of slight risk as that storm moves northeastward up into Canada. And the weather front that you're looking at, Joe, on for Tuesday is beginning to push eastward. So this is what it will do on Sunday. So far, on the long range for day 5. So day 5 would be, let me make sure I got the right days here. So day 5 is Monday into Tuesday. Day 6 is Tuesday into Wednesday. So right now, with that front approaching, SPC has potential too low for severe weather in the eastern part of the United States. I didn't notice anything that really stood out that would trigger a severe weather event on Tuesday, but you never know. Maybe when we get there, we'll probably have a general thunderstorm risk that could be put into place.
It's possible, yeah, but the good news in this regard is that it does not look like anything that's going to be threatening in terms of severe activity. Yeah, maybe we'll get some rumbles of thunder with that system on Tuesday, but it doesn't look like anything that would be worth shouting out at this stage of the game. Watch out for damaging winds or hail or that sort of thing. It does not look like that right now. And again, Joe, right behind that next weather front, check out the upper level winds. You can see how the winds just turn or steer right out of central and northern Canada into the northeast, which is why it looks like it's going to turn abnormally or unseasonably cold for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week.
Yeah, as far as the system for Friday night, Saturday, in the northern plains, we're looking at. I have WPCs. This is the 72 hour probability of at least 12, and there's a fairly large area of 70% probability of at least 12 in northeastern Wyoming, southeastern Montana, into western North Dakota. And if you want to use the blue area is the first blue area is 40%. So I usually like to use that first blue area of 40% as a good indicator that if they don't get 12, they'll get close to 12. So that's a fairly large area of a foot plus that we're seeing. And of course, if I widen this out and just go to, say, 4 or more, you can see the impact of at least 4. There we go. And you have a 95 to 100% probability over a fairly large geographic area from northeast Wyoming into southwestern North Dakota. So it's going to be a fairly healthy snow producer. Not going to be producing record snowfalls because that system, unlike last week, which took its time, this one is going to be moving along, and that's a big plus. And you're right. I'm just looking as far as the upper air is concerned. When you look at this for the second part of next week, yeah, our air is just, again, you still got that block. You got this blockiness here in the North Atlantic, and that is just getting a cold flow around the upper low out of Canada, and you're getting, a flow that's coming down out of north central Canada as well. So uh, you cannot warm up in a situation like this. You just can't.
I mean, we have. I'm looking here. One, two, three, four. It looks like 5, like a 5 contour cutoff low on Wednesday afternoon over upstate, or actually central. Actually, it's more like Ontario, Canada. And then that system, that closed low, ends up just sitting over the northeastern part of the country until it moves offshore off of Cape Cod on Friday. And then it just continues to sit and languish. And we remain in that cyclonic curvature. I mean,
Yeah.
it just continues to sit there, and that is not good. If you want, after a front goes by, you say, okay, the front goes by, it'll clear, we'll get back into bright sunshine. Not necessarily, not with this type of a system, because you've got the upper atmosphere now so chilly, so unstable. Even if you start, this is the kind of what I like to call the self-destruct sunshine type mode, where even if the day starts sunny, with the way this pattern is set up, very quickly we're going to have convective clouds and mainly overcast sky by midday and afternoon. So this does not look like a very pleasing or pleasant outcome for us in the middle and latter part of next week. Unseasonably chilly or cold, if you will, and also quite a bit of cloud cover, at least during the mid and late day hours. Maybe things clear off a little bit at night, but then as soon as the sun comes over the horizon and warms things up again, warms that unstable air, you go back to the clouds again the following day.
Now, I brought up the anomalies here. If you look at the loop, now I went back, it's starting off on the first map from earlier this week. So just starting from Monday of this week. And I'm also using the 850 because it gives a smoother look in terms of what's going on. Because the low, if we look at the 2-meter temperatures, you're going to have some time frames that may show it above average and some time frames may show it below average. Depending on cloud cover, if it's nighttime or if you're getting an ocean wind or if you're not getting an ocean wind. But this at least gives you an idea of the levels, the bottom 5,000 feet. This is cold. This was cold certainly this week. And it's finally started to pull out today to an extent. Tomorrow, there's a cold push that brushes up. It's more into New England than anything else. And then, of course, we're in this ridge position this weekend, but again, depending on whether you have a wind off the ocean or if your wind is going to be southwest, make the difference as far as temperatures are concerned. But after that front Tuesday, look at all this cold air. This is what Joe's was talking about. The core of the 5,000 foot, roughly 5,000 foot, 850 millibar level, Joe. Those are minus 15 anomalies over Pennsylvania, Western New York, into New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and you're right. This is one of those situations. You get into a cold, unstable atmosphere. It's self-destructive sunshine, and you're not going to be able to do anything with it because once the sun comes out, the clouds develop, and who knows, there might even be some scattered showers running around and maybe even a few snowflakes in places up north and in some elevated areas. That wouldn't be a shocker. And just going a little bit further out, because now we're into May 1st on what I'm looping here. Look at that next cold pool that's coming down right behind it. This is for around May 3rd, 4th, coming down into the Great Lake, the plains, the Great Lakes, the Northeast, right to about May 6th on the latest GFS run. So it's hopeless. If you want warm weather, it's
I will say,
hopeless.
well, be careful for what you hope for or wish for, because how many times, Joe, have we seen a situation like this where it's day and day and day after day of chilly, unseasonably chilly air, and people are saying, "Where's the warm weather? Where's the warm weather?" And sometimes you get a situation like this where all of a sudden, as if somebody snapped a switch, it might happen in the middle part of May or late May, or maybe hold off until June. But it's like somebody just flicked a switch, and all of a sudden you jump from one extreme to the other, and all of a sudden it turns very, very warm, if not downright hot. And then, in other words, there's no middle ground. There's no Goldilocks. There's no spring,
Right.
as we would like to call it. We go directly from unseasonable chill right into the warm to hot air. And then that's when people start saying, "Oh, it's so hot out there. The air conditioning, turn it on, the fan. Oh, I wish we'd get cool again." Yeah, really. So watch out what you're wishing for.
I don't
But that's
remember.
sometimes how this all plays
Yeah,
out.
I don't remember what year it was. I seem to recall the one spring in the last 10 or so years. I'm not sure what year it was, but we basically didn't flip the switch until sometime right after Father's Day. It was like this right through April, May, and the first part of June. Um, Obviously, as you get deeper into May and June, you start to push your temperatures up higher anyway, but still ran below normal overall until right after Father's Day weekend, which, as I remember, was one that we had rain and some thunderstorms around, and then right after that, suddenly we were, up near 90 and that was then of course it went into the summer, which I have no recollection of how the summer turned out. But you're right. It's a switch flipping situation. You want to show SPC, I'm sorry, you want to show CPC's weather going forward, go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Hang on. We shall get that up. And share the screen. And there we are. And, you look at this and you say to yourself, oh my goodness. Again, as I said, looks like 75% of the country is under chillier or colder than normal weather. And look at this, Joe, right here. That is right there at the top. 80 to 90%
Hold on. I'm
probability of
sorry,
below
Joe.
normal
Hang
temperatures.
on one second. Now I got you. I'm a little bit off right now with switching maps. Now the maps are up. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no. It's 80 to 90% below normal on the 6 to 10-day outlook. And just to give you a close-in view of this, folks, this is again from the Climate Prediction Center. I mean, look at that. Look at that. That's again the 6 to 10 days out. That's for the middle and latter part of next week, all the way out to May the 1st, which will be a week again from Sunday. And where New York and Long Island happens to be, we're in the 70 to 80% probability. This whole area has better than 70% probability of below normal, 80 to 90% here, and it's just amazing. And now, if you want to get hot, here's the other side of the equation. The other side of the coin is like near 90% probability over New Mexico. Now, I'm not into climatology of Mexico, but I'm going to make the assumption, Joe, that for New Mexico, maybe this little area here of the panhandle of Texas and over into Colorado, and maybe even over into out west, over into the eastern part of Arizona. All of this is probably going to be basking in temperatures in the 90s, dare I say the hundreds over the next 6 to 10 days. It is the exact diametric opposite of what we're going to be seeing here in the Northeast. And whereas I do believe, let me just check out here the precipitation map. Okay, so here's the precip. So here in the East will be either near or below seasonal normals, probability-wise. But unfortunately, also in the places that are going to be boiling or broiling hot, it too will be below normal precipitation-wise. And that, of course, this area here, which is where they dearly need moisture, they dearly need some rain. This is where they have all those wildfires, as I said, over near Flagstaff, Arizona. They have what is being called the tunnel fire, where there's tens of thousands of acres that are being burned. Even some homes have been destroyed. And it does not look, at least in the immediate future, over the next 6 to 10 days, that any of that is going to change. Above normal over west central Texas, and also above normal precipitation-wise over the plain states out to the Pacific Northwest. But where they need it dearly, here in the Southwest, zilch, and where we have had, again, a lot of moisture, a lot of rain over the last 2-3 weeks, we at least will get into a period of relatively dry weather, even below normal over portions of western New York. And where you are, down your way, Joe, across the southeastern states, below normal probability of precipitation. But wow,
Works for me.
what a bit of extremes that we're going to be looking at over these next few days, coming up over the next week or two.
Yes. Okay. My apologies earlier with regards to the maps. I just bring back the anomaly map here on the GFS, and I started it from. This is back on Monday, and we're looking at the 5,000 foot level, roughly the 850 millibar level. But you see how we were obviously below normal just about all week, and then sort of getting brushed with some cooler air that goes by more into New England for Friday behind tonight's weak weather front that's going through. And then with this ridge in the over the weekend, yeah, it warms up aloft, and inland and areas may wind up seeing warmer temperatures, but there's going to be some sea breeze issues in a lot of places in coastal southeastern southern New England, maybe down to New York City and the Jersey Shore. Might have better luck seeing temperatures getting into the 70s in places to the west and south. Here's our front for Tuesday. After that comes through, you can see this cold pool that drives southeastward, and then that goes, and after that goes out, look at this next one as we get into the first days of May, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. You can see another driving chilly air mass driving down into the northeast. In the meantime, here's what it looks like just to take a look at what's going on at the surface. And I'll roll this back just a little bit, assuming everybody's got what they're supposed to see on the screen, and it looks like you are, so that's a plus. Let's roll that one back over there. And here we go. So again, no big storms here in the east, but you can see the Montana storm now that I've rolled it backwards. There's your low, a 980 low in western Nebraska. I always love seeing the lows out here sometimes because on the east side, oftentimes you see these really wrapped up deep lows. There's not a whole lot of moisture with it though. There's nothing going on except way up into Wisconsin and Minnesota Friday night, and then you've got some the moisture on the backside Friday night in parts of Utah and western Wyoming. Then it starts to generate the big snows further east as the low moves northward into North Dakota as a 985 and then an 88 as it reaches occlusion and then runs well up to our north on Monday. So the next front gets here on Tuesday with some showers. And then, as you see, Joe, there's that wonderful 528 thickness next Thursday morning over northern New Jersey, New York City, Long Island, northeastern Pennsylvania. Just wonderful to see this time of year. It's air that rather chilly. And yeah, the one plus I guess in all of this is that the Atlantic is cut off, the Gulf of Mexico is cut off. So as far as rain is concerned, it's going to be pretty lacking. Here's here's WPC's rainfall forecast for the next 7 days. A little more active up in New England with a half to 3/4 of an inch there, and most of this is probably coming from the system for Tuesday. A quarter to a half as you go further south into Virginia and eastern North Carolina. Big amounts of a couple of inches from central Texas northeastward into southwest Missouri, also went through parts of Iowa, and also being generated some big amounts of up to 2 inches or more in some places where we're seeing this big storm for Friday night and Saturday up in the northwestern plains. Not too much going on in the Pacific Northwest. Some places getting heavier rains, other places not so much. And as far as tonight is concerned, let's just really quick. Here's the latest radar. And all of that stuff that was there earlier, Joe, just completely fell apart. There's a few showers running through southern New Jersey and eastern Long Island tonight, very light. But other than that, and other than what's going on in Maine, this lead front that's coming through tonight, really not that much with it.
You know, I just am reminded, Joe, about last year in May for the Memorial Day holiday weekend. And how many of you remember this? Memorial Day holiday weekend last year, we had temperatures that were barely above 50 degrees. We had a chilly, cloudy, dank, damp holiday weekend last year with well below normal temperatures. And it's a pattern that I'm hoping will not repeat this year on Memorial Day weekend. But and in fact, Memorial Day weekend this year, last year was like around the 23rd, 24th. This year, Memorial Day is on May 30th. But I'm hoping that we can break out of this pattern before we get at least to the end of May. There are some maps that I've looked at over the last few minutes that seem to suggest that we may be in this unseasonably chilly pattern in this part of the country, the Northeast, right on through the first half of the month of May. That would be amazing if that were to happen.
Yep. And all the people during the winter time will be spent it with the North Atlantic Oscillation, the NAO, in a positive state for virtually 4 months. Amazing.
What are you going to do? When you want it, at the time of the year when you want it, it doesn't happen. And when at the time of the year when you don't want it, It does happen. And it seems to me like over the last 3 or 4 years, we've seen this pattern suddenly materialize in April and maintain itself into May. Remember, what was it, 2 years ago or 3 years ago? We had snow on the 9th of May here in the New York metropolitan
I
area.
think that was last year. Wasn't that last year?
No, not last year.
It was 2 years
No, then
ago?
maybe it was the year before.
I was the year
Maybe it was the
before.
year
It was the year
before.
before. All right, let's do a little Briller Jeopardy here on this Thursday night. And the chairman tonight is going back to the prehistoric age of the Flintstones.
Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones. Yes.
Let us begin the first question tonight with what was Wilma's maiden name?
Was it Pebble?
No.
It was not Wilma Pebble?
No.
I thought it was. I'll bet you the maiden name changed over several episodes. I always thought it was Wilma Pebble, but
no, it was.
I'll bet you.
It was Wilma Staghopel.
Huh?
That's what he's got here. Staghopel.
I think the chairman may be referencing the episode where they had Fred and Wilma and Barney and Betty. They all met. They were working for a hotel.
Right.
And in fact, I seem to remember one name out of that episode, Mr. Rocks on Rocks.
Yeah.
I remember Fred was like trying to find him. Telephone for Mr. Rocks on Rocks.
Too funny.
Anyway.
Who was the voice of Betty Rubble in the early seasons?
Well, that was B. Benaderet.
That is correct.
And then later it was Jerry Johnson.
Yes. What is happening in the very first scene of the Flintstones?
The very first scene?
Yes.
He's on his dinosaur, and the dinosaur is rubbing his head or his neck up against the wall and grating or taking rocks down, and then he hears the whistle, and he goes,
no, that's the opening of the show. So on the very first episode, the very opening scene of the very first episode. What
I think what they do in the very first episode is you see the sign "Welcome to Bedrock," population whatever 2,000 or something, and the narrator is telling you like welcome to this this community and blah blah blah, a way of introducing you to the Flintstones, the family, Wilma and Fred or whatever. Is that how it starts? Or?
Well, Fred and Barney are doing something specific.
Don't tell me they're smoking a pack of Winstons.
No. That was the
Which
commercial.
They actually did. There was a commercial that they actually had them smoking Winston cigarettes.
Yes.
No, I don't know.
They were bowling.
Really?
Yes.
I honestly don't remember the first episode starting out that way, but I guess the chairman knows what he's talking about.
Who was the next two questions are who did the voices of Fred Flintstone?
That was Alan Reed, correct?
And who was the voice of the Great Gazoo?
Harvey Korman.
Yes, Harvey Korman. What was the name of the Rubble's pet?
That was Hoppy or Hopalong. It was
Hoppy.
It was a prehistoric kangaroo. Yeah.
Hoppy. You've actually earlier in your talking about the open of the first episode mentioned the population of Bedrock. That was question 7. What is the population of Bedrock? And the answer is B, 2,500. So you were right there with that.
I was dancing around.
And the voice of Wilma?
Gene Vanderpill.
That is correct. And the Flintstones, this is the bonus question, the first of two. The Flintstones debuted on September 30th, 1960 in prime time. On what network and on what night?
It was on ABC, and I believe it was at 7:30 p.m. on Friday nights.
That is correct. And the second bonus question is, how many episodes did the Great Gazoo make an appearance?
Not too many. I mean, a lot of people think that he only showed up in the final season, and I think he was in like, I'm not sure if it's 16 or 18 episodes. I'll say 18.
The answer, well, here are the choices. You have choices. We're all about
Oh,
choices here.
okay.
A4, B8, C11, D29.
I don't think 29 was. I think that was far too many. What was the third one? 11.
11.
I'll say the 11.
And you are correct. 11 episodes it
Yeah.
is. So you did very good with that.
It's
funny because right before the show started, I pulled up a YouTube video. I was trying to see if I could get the audio. I didn't, I forgot that the theme tonight was the Flintstones, but it's been on my mind. But I pulled the audio when the dancing girls come out of the cake at the kid's birthday party. Da 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 da. Oh God, that was funny. They were, I guess they were supposed to be the Rockettes.
Now this is for the chat board. When I was doing radio many moons ago, I was doing the weather at WHAM, which is a big, powerful radio station in Rochester, New York. You can hear it some nights clear as a bell down here in New York, and they always had a trivia contest in the afternoon hours when I was doing the weather for them. And one day I told the guy who was doing the afternoon show, I said, I got a trivia question. What's the best trivia? The best trivia is something that you see over and over and over and over again, but it doesn't seem to register. At least some part of it doesn't seem to register in your mind. How many times have we all seen the Flintstones? God knows how many times in our life. And how many times have we seen the end of the Flintstones? The end is when they actually, at the beginning, they drive into a drive-in movie, and then they drive out of the drive-in movie. And at the entrance and exit, there's a placard, and the placard says, "Tonight only," with the name of the movie. And I mentioned the WHAM because this question was worth a free, all expense paid ski vacation over a weekend, I think during the Washington's Day or President's Day weekend. And I was the one who supplied the question and the answer. And it took like 10 minutes. Remember, this was before you could go on your computer, go to YouTube and call up the beginning or the end of the Flintstones to see what the answer was. So they couldn't do that. But what was the name of the movie that was playing at that drive-in theater that was only playing tonight only, but has been playing tonight since 1960 when the show began?
That I don't remember. I mean, I know what you were talking about, but I don't know what the name of the movie was.
You don't remember? You don't know what the name of the movie was?
Nope.
Does anybody out there know what the name of the movie was that's playing at the drive-in theater?
Wasn't it some kind of horror movie?
You could call it a horror movie. In fact, if you want to be somewhat specific or get a hint, it may very well have been made in Japan.
Like a Godzilla movie?
Yeah, but what was the name of the movie?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember.
The movie's name was The Monster. That was the name of the movie.
Okay.
And it was playing tonight only. It's been playing now for the last 60 years?
60 years
on the Flintstone. So there you go. The chairman wanted me to mention that if any of you are not doing anything tomorrow morning at, let's say, 4 or 5 a.m. and you can't get the bed, why don't you throw on a jacket or a coat, step outside and look skyward. Tomorrow's the peak of the Lyrid meteor shower. You know, meteor shower is a misnomer, Joe, because it gives the impression that meteors are pouring out of a sprinkler. It is not. This is one of the weaker meteor showers.
Really?
No, it isn't. No, it's
okay.
You will see if you stand outside under a clear, dark sky, you'll see maybe 10 or 15 meteors per hour. So in other words, you're waiting out there to see a meteor flash on by about every 8 to 10 minutes. But since we have a half moon or a last quarter moon in the sky, lighting the sky up a little bit, you won't see that many. Instead of seeing 10 or 15, you probably will see more like 5 or 10. It is not the greatest thing in the world to look for. Um, Certainly, I don't know if I'm going to rouse myself and get out of bed to look, but in about 5 weeks, on the night of May 30th, we may have a really, you want to talk about a meteor shower or maybe an outburst of shooting stars? We may very well have that on Monday night, May 30th, into the hours of Tuesday, May 31st. And I'll get into that in greater detail. I may actually not be here, Joe. I tell you right now, Renata and I are thinking about taking some time off and maybe traveling out west where the skies are very dark. Hopefully, they won't be smoky with all the wildfires going on
Yeah.
to see this particular event. But if you're up and about tomorrow morning, and you're not doing anything, step outside, look out. You might catch a glimpse. What makes this shower interesting is that every once in a great while, and a great while being like maybe every 100 or 200 years or so, this shower flares up into something major. In 1803, in Richmond, Virginia, a house caught fire. In fact, I think it was in the Armory in Richmond, Virginia. And so they rang the fire bell to wake everybody up to go out to try to extinguish the fire. They did, but after they did it, they looked up and they were seeing meteors in every direction, like skyrockets, hundreds or maybe even thousands per hour. If the fire hadn't broken out, nobody would have known. But because of that, they caught a glimpse of a very unusual occurrence, a very rare Lyrid meteor display, which was unusually heavy. Not likely to happen tomorrow morning, but again, if you're up and about at 3 or 4 a.m. and you're not doing anything, can't get back to sleep, step outside, look up, and maybe if you're out there long enough, you'll catch sight of one of these celestial streakers in the sky. And I hope
Okay.
the chairman is happy. And thank you, Chairman. Thank you for hitting super chats tonight.
Also, Ken Musillo hitting super chat tonight, although it didn't post yet, but it might post later on. But thank you very much, Ken. Thank also Barry Goldberg from earlier for hitting super chat. And I think it's time to go. So we will wrap it up here. Back on Sunday. So we'll see you guys, everybody, on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So in the meantime, enjoy your Friday and Saturday, Joe, and everybody here tonight. Enjoy your Friday and your weekend, and we'll see you Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Nighty night, everybody.
Nighty night.